Let us open our Bible to the book of Revelation chapter 17. Revelation 17. Woman on the beast. Woman on the beast. Revelation 17 verses 1 to 6. One of the angels who had the vials explains the meaning of the former vision of the anti-Christian beast that was to reign 1260 days and then to be destroyed. Verses 1 to 4. One of the vial angels allows John to see the harlot. A fresh vision commences in Revelation 4 verse 1. Still punitive in Revelation 16 verse 1, but with an exchange of angelic cicerones. The beast, which has already in chapter 13 done duty as the empire, is now the support of the capital, Rome. Rome personifies as a feminine figure rides on a beast of the same color, like the Bacchante, and on the panther, or like the Syrian Astarte on a lion. The image of the harlot is taken from the Old Testament description, not of Babylon, which when personified is a virgin in Isaiah 47 verse 1, but of Tyre in Isaiah 23 verse 15 and others, and Nineveh in Nahum 3 verse 4. The truth is, the anti-Christian empire is conceived as embodying the various forms of evil that existed in previous earthly empires. They have existed and become great in virtue of what was good in them. They are the divinely appointed protectors of God's people, as in Jeremiah 29 verse 7. Romans 13 verses 1 to 7 and 1 Timothy 2 verse 2. The coming of Antichrist, and so they at once hinder, as in 2 Thessalonians 2 verses 6 to 7, they hinder the coming of the Antichrist, and so they at once hinder the coming of the Antichrist and foreshadow his coming by acting in his spirit. The Babylon of Nebuchadnezzar had, as someone can read the book of Daniel without seeing something nobler in it than mere conquering pride. And to this nobler element, Isaiah does justice. But John sees it does not follow that a natural man will see that in the new Babylon, the base element is supreme. The scarlet beast is presumably the same beast described in chapter 13 verse 1, with 7 heads and 10 horns and labeled with blasphemous names. Verse 5. This is one of several times in Revelation that people are identified by a mark or seal on their foreheads. We see this in Revelation 7 verse 3, 9 verse 4, 14 verse 1. Rather than understanding the woman's name as being mystery, her name was a mystery. More explanation is given later in this chapter We see it in verses, as it is said in verses 15, verses 15 to 18. Babylon, the next thing written on the forehead is not used to identify a place, but to identify a godless culture. We may say Yahweh-less culture, because there are so many gods. Demons are gods. Godless does not express what we mean. It's a Yahweh-less culture. Not only is the woman evil herself, she gives birth to evil. Identified as the mother of all prostitutes, she represents the source of all the immorality in the world. In addition, she is the source of all of the evil that seeks to desecrate Yahweh. Verse 6, the woman is drunk with the blood of the saints, which implies not only that she is a principality demon, but she is responsible for their death. The language here is not that of something done long ago, but rather something that is still continuing. Rome clearly appears to be meant by the name Babylon in this chapter. Pagan Rome, called Gentile, subdued and ruled with military power, not by art and flatteries. She left the nations in general to their ancient uses and worship. But it is well known that by crafty and politic management, with all kinds of deceit and unrighteousness, Papal Rome has obtained and kept her rule over kings and nations for at least 1,000 years. Here were allurements of worldly honor and riches, pomp and pride, suited to sensual and worldly minds. Prosperity, pomp, and splendor feed the pride and lust of the human heart, but are not security against the divine vengeance. The golden cup represents the allurements and delusions by which this mystical Babylon has obtained and kept her influence and seduced others to join her abominations. She is named from her infamous practices, a mother of harlots, training them up to idolatry and all sorts of wickedness. She filled herself with the blood of the saints and martyrs of Yeshua. She intoxicated herself with it, and it was so pleasant to her that she never was satisfied. We cannot but wonder at the oceans of Christian blood shed by people called the Christians. Yet when we consider these prophecies, these awful deeds testify to the truth of the gospel. And let all beware of the splendid, gainful, or fashionable religion. Let us avoid the mysteries of iniquity and study diligently the great mystery of godliness, that we may learn humility and gratitude from the example of Christ. The more we seek to resemble him, the less we will be liable to be deceived by Antichrist. Revelation 17 verses 7 to 14. And the angel interprets the mystery of the woman and the beast that has 7 heads and 10 horns. Verse 8. Several times in the angel's explanation, the beast is described with some variations as the one who, I quote, was and is not and yet is, end of quote. This is a way of saying that he has been resurrected, but it is a false resurrection. It is probably meant to stand in contrast to the description of Yeshua in chapter 1 verse 4. This beast lived, died, and is going to come back to life, a sign of false divinity. But in the end, this coming serves the purpose of his final destruction. Verses 10 to 11. Whether interpreted as a ruler, a nation, or a symbol of evil, this 8th king refers to the beast himself. Somehow he belongs to the 7 yet rules again. The angel's interest in this explanation, though, doesn't seem to be identifying the beast in a definitive way. The focus seems to be that this beast is on his way to destruction at the hand of Yahweh. Verses 12 to 14. The 10 horns represents 10 kingdoms as a confederacy that will rule with the beast for a short period of time. They will be completely united with the beast in opposition to the lamb, but they will be defeated. Verses 7 to 14. The beast on which the woman sat was and is not and yet is. It was a seat of idolatry and persecution, and is not in the ancient form which was pagan, yet it is truly the seat of idolatry and tyranny, though of another sort and form. It would deceive into stupid and blind submission all the inhabitants of the earth within its influence, except the remnant of the elect. The beast was 7 heads, 7 mountains, and 7 hills on which Rome stands, and 7 kings, 7 sorts of government. 5 were gone by when this prophecy was written. 1 was then in being, the other was yet to come. This beast directed by the papacy makes an 8th governor or king and sets up idolatry again. It had 10 horns, which are said to be 10 kings who had as yet no kingdoms, yet should not rise up till the Roman Empire was broken, but should for a time be very zealous in her interest. Christ must reign till all enemies be put under his feet. The reason of the victory is that he is the King of kings and Lord of lords. He has supreme dominion and power over all kings. All the power of earth and hell are subject to his control. His followers are called to this warfare, are fitted for it, and will be faithful in it. Verse 18. The angel offers some clues to the prostitute's identity. She is a great city who rules over the kings of the earth. In John's day, this certainly would have been taken as a reference to Rome. Alternatively, it may be seen as an organized religion, or simply as a reference to organized humanity living outside of the law of Yahweh. So verses 15 to 18. Yahweh so ruled the hearts of these kings by his power over them and by his providence, that they did those things without intending it, which he purposed and foretold. They will see their folly and how they have been bewitched and enslaved by the harlot, and be made instrument in her destruction. She was that great city which reigned over the kings of the earth when John had this vision, and everyone knows Rome to be that city. Believers will be received to the glory of the Lord when wicked people will be destroyed in a most powerful manner. Their joining together in sin will be turned to hatred and rage, and they will eagerly assist in tormenting each other. But the Lord's position is his people. The Lord's portion, not position. The Lord's portion, Yahweh's portion, is his people. His counsel will stand, and he will do all his pleasure to his glory and the happiness of all his servants, all his ministers, as servant means minister. Know this, and the Lord Yahweh will bless you. Let us take these prayer points, a kind of rereading of Revelation 17 in the form of prayers. One of the seven angels who have the seven bowls comes and says to me, "Come, I will show you the punishment of the great prostitute who sits by many waters," in the name of Yeshua. With her the kings of the earth committed adultery, and the inhabitants of the earth were intoxicated with the wine of her adulteries, in the name of Yeshua. Angel of Yahweh's wrath, carry me away in the spirit into the wilderness, in the name of Yeshua. There I see a woman sitting on a scarlet beast that is covered with blasphemous names and has 7 heads and 10 horns, in the name of Yeshua. The woman is dressed in purple and scarlet and is glittering with gold, precious stones and pearls, in the name of Yeshua. She holds a golden cup in her hand filled with abominable things and the filth of her adulteries, in the name of Yeshua. The name written on her forehead is a mystery: Babylon the Great, the mother of prostitutes and of the abominations of the earth. In the name of Yeshua we pray. I see that the woman is drunk with the blood of Yahweh's holy people, the blood of those who bore testimony to Christ, in the name of Yeshua. Then the angel says to me, "Why are you astonished?" in the name of Yeshua. I will explain to you the mystery of the woman and of the beast she rides, which has the 7 heads and 10 horns, in the name of Yeshua. The beast which you say once was, now is not, and yet will come up out of the abyss and go to its destruction, in the name of Yeshua. The inhabitants of the earth whose names have not been written in the book of life from the creation of the world will be astonished when they see the beast in the name of Yeshua. Because it once was, now is not, and yet will come in the name of Yeshua. This calls for a mind with wisdom in the name of Yeshua. The 7 heads are 7 hills on which the woman sits in the name of Yeshua. They are also 7 kings. 5 have fallen, 1 is, the other has not yet come in the name of Yeshua. But when he does come, he must remain for only a little while in the name of Yeshua. The beast who once was and now is not is an 8th king in the name of Yeshua. He belongs to the 7 and is going to his destruction in the name of Yeshua. The 10 horns you saw are 10 kings who have not yet received the kingdom in the name of Yeshua. But they for 1 hour will receive authority as kings along with the beast in the name of Yeshua. They have one purpose and will give their power and authority to the beast in the name of Yeshua. They will wage war against the Lamb in the name of Yeshua. But the Lamb will triumph over them because he is the Lord of lords and King of kings in the name of Yeshua. And with the Lamb will be his called, chosen, and faithful followers in the name of Yeshua. Then the angel says to me, the waters you saw where the prostitute sits are peoples, multitudes, nations, and languages in the name of Yeshua. The beast and the 10 horns you saw will hate the prostitute in the name of Yeshua. They will bring her to ruin and leave her naked in the name of Yeshua. They will eat her flesh and burn her with fire in the name of Yeshua. For Yahweh has put it into their hearts to accomplish his purpose by agreeing to hand over to the beast their royal authority until God's words are fulfilled in the name of Yeshua. The woman you saw is the great city that rules over the kings of the earth in the name of Yeshua. Thank you, Father Yahweh, for your word of wisdom, your word of guidance, your word of teaching, your word of enlightening, your word of spiritual strengthening, your word of spiritual growth, your word of spiritual elevation. Thank you, Father Yahweh, that you heard our prayers, our confession, that you heard our teaching, that you heard our cries, our supplication, our prayers. Thank you, Lord, for your answers to our prayers, Lord. We give you glory, we give you honor, we give you all the praise. In the mighty name of Yeshua, the Messiah, we pray.